PYNK exclusive content.
Welcome back to the one and only show that is called Inappropriate Discourse. Hello, how you doing? Konnichiwa, salutations, and all those good things. My name is Shogun, and I am your moderator of the evening. I'm here to introduce you to our panel, explain the rules, and have a good time tonight. This is Inappropriate Discourse. There's the logo just popped up. Look at that, we got graphics now. Trying to do some big things. So, my name is Shogun from the Government Name Podcast. Why is this beat still going? I thought it would have faded out by now. So this is Inappropriate Discourse, where we have a slight light debate show. We're limited to time, but before I explain the game and explain the show, let's get into our panel members. Sid Davis, introduce yourself and tell the people who you are. Where you?
I'm Sid Davis, doing the Birdman hand rub. I'm the host of the Social Introvert Podcast. Drops every Wednesday and Thursday, and you can listen to it everywhere podcasts can be listened to. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @SidDavis.
Nice. And we actually have a special guest this week. His name is Mr.On.point, but it looks like he's got a different name in the moniker. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Please, Mr.On.point, tell these folks who you are, where you from.
My name is Eddie, a.k.a. Mr.On.point, on my podcast, Conversation Con Artist, on a little bit of hiatus right now. But you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. MISTER_on-point, or on TikTok at Eddie Be Talking.
I like that. Thank you for being our guest today. And the reason I skipped over Rhayne is a little different. We're changing the rules as we do every week here at the Inappropriate Discourse. But Rhayne, I don't know if you saw in the comments of last week's poll, you were voted number one.
Oh,
you won. You were the people's champ, and because of that, you are Inappropriate Discourse. Rhayne Coleman, since you are the champion of the week, you are awarded one extra react. And Mr.On.point, you might be questioning yourself. I said react. You're awarded one extra counter. So I'm going to put a little star by your name. You got an extra counter. Mr.On.point, you might be wondering, what is a counter? What is these things he's talking about? Well, let me explain the rules of the show. This is Inappropriate Discourse, and here it is on your screen. Hey, the rules are we all bring a topic, actually two topics. Each panel member will bring two topics and will be given time to explain. Once those topics have been explained, we all get 90 seconds to react. There will be a time, you'll hear this ticking, and then it goes into your time. Then y'all are also given counters. Each panel member will have 4 counters throughout the whole show. These countries will give you an additional 30 seconds to make your point and respond to another panel member. Then at the end of it all, you have the challenge. The challenge is the big joker. It gives you an actual 2 minutes to make your point, but in the process, you sacrifice 2 of your 4 counters. Those are the rules of the game. We're going to have fun. This is Inappropriate Discourse. So, I feel like I did a lot. Look at all my graphics. I feel special. All right. Let's get into this show. Yes, I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna start it off. I want to start us off with our first topic of the evening. I want to talk about Drake. Drake has had an amazing week thus far. I mean, the guy is already one of the biggest stars in music. What is these noises?
My bad.
Drake released or had his member leaked over the internet. And all the ladies' group chats have been going crazy, and people have been talking about Drake's member. And I think Drake might have just screwed up Valentine's Day for a lot of us. You know, he was jerking off on a private plane, and somehow his video got on the internet. Now, my question to everybody here on the panel, do you think Drake's member being posted on the internet was promotional or was it an accident? So we're going to start it out with the first person. I'm going to pick Sid Davis. I want to hear you react to this. You got 90 seconds on the board. Here we go.
This man is pulling off a publicity stunt. He ain't got nothing to promote. Scary Hours 3 was good. For All the Dogs is questionable. But he just doing something just to be doing something to put the attention on himself. I don't know why he would do it. Didn't see it. Just saw comments from women everywhere. Don't care. I don't care about this topic at all. That's my time.
Okay. That's his time. You had time left over. That is all right. I like that. Rhayne Coleman, how do you feel about Drake's member being posted all over X and Twitter?
Good for him. You know, we all need that pick me up, that boost of like self-esteem or whatever. But truly, this nigga, it has to be some sort of stunt. Cause again, going back to the Megan his diss track, however you feel about it, the BBL scars, he's had those allegations for years, and his surgically implanted abs. Also, I don't know what song it was, but like recently, a clip surfaced about him talking shit about he wasn't gonna play some song, but I think him and Rihanna and some other shit. I'm like, it's just another way to stay in the news. Cause what are you talking about? Your flaccid penis leaked? What are you talking about? Nobody asked for this. So I don't know. I think this nigga did that shit on purpose. Looks like a bad bitch to get some energy on herself. So yeah, Drake publicity stunt.
Okay,
that's my time.
Okay, I like that. All right. I want to go next. It's my topic. I also get to react, Mr. On.point. I think you know the rules according to this. I think it is a publicity stunt because how do you record yourself jerking off on a plane and somehow that video gets leaked on the internet? Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Drake's. Oh, dang, I ain't starting my time. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about Drake and his penis. Some people in the comment section, yes, I looked at it, pause, whatever, I don't care. Some people in the comment section were saying that Drake was probably using an extension, or he got some kind of surgery to make it extend a little bit longer. Some people were saying that it looks like he's suffering from ED because it was, like Rhayne said, flaccid. But I don't know. I feel like that's the playerish thing you could possibly do. Y'all have known so much about me. You've seen me all over the place. I'm going to post my dick on the internet, and y'all still going to love me. And also, now I'm in the group chats even more. I'm a certified lover boy. You can't get enough of me. That's my time. Mr.On.point, I see you shaking your head. Let me hear you. How do you feel about Drake's penis being posted on the internet?
I don't believe it's Drake. I don't believe he did nothing. I believe he stayed quiet. I think that some video, and once he saw himself trending and was like, trending for big meat? I ain't got no big meat. Let me see what it, I mean, I can do good if they believe this is me. So he just being quiet. I don't think it's him. And I did watch the video, not for pleasure, for research purposes, but I know what a silicone meat look like. I've played with silicone meats. I got a silicone meat. I got plenty of silicone toys, and I know how it's shaped. They called it a flaccid. No, the way it was moving was very silicone-esque. That shit ain't real. So either whoever doing that shit got some implants, or they got a little strap up on their meat. One of them two things is going on. But I'm going to tell you one or two things that ain't going on. It ain't a real meat, and it ain't Drake.
Goddamn. See, Rhayne, I see your hand go up. It sounds like you want to use a counter. Would you like to use a counter?
Counter.
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
All right, you got 30 seconds on the board. Here you go.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. I'm not walking anything back that I said, but we've had a bunch of niggas who look like famous niggas sucking dick and doing shit and had their shits released. So I'm subject to side with you as well, Mr.On.point, because I still stand by what I said, but I didn't even consider that. Okay, that's my tie. That's my tie. I just want to get it out there. Damn it.
Okay. Wow. Sid, look like you want to say something. Would you like to use a counter? He said no. I don't care about this
I
topic.
really don't know what to say to that.
All
but
right, we're gonna cross that one off.
Can I say something else?
Yes, you got a counter. You have four. Four counters throughout the show. So, would you like to use your counter? That gives you 30 seconds to say something else.
I'm just gonna add to what was said.
All right.
So if that's a counter, then cool, yeah.
Counter.
I think that goes along. I think it fits the same model of what y'all are saying in terms of it being a publicity stunt, because the silence makes it a publicity stunt. You know, because he could just, if it's not him, he could just play out him because it worked. Now, I promise you that if somebody zoom into that and see a brand name on it and say this meat come from siliconemeatmakers.com, I bet he gonna come out and say that ain't me. Bet he gonna say it then. But right now, we just work in his favor to be quiet.
And that is your time, sir. I gotta turn that down. That was loud as hell. Silicone meat makers. Moving right along. So I want to hear from Rhayne Coleman next. Rhayne. Oh, I'm sorry. One of the perks, I didn't explain this, or at least I don't remember saying this. One of the perks of being the champion of the week is you get to go last. Like I messed that up on that whole topic. You get to go last if you want to on the topic. You get to pick whenever you want to react to it, and then you get an extra react. So you, instead of having 4, you have 5. So, would you like to do your topic now?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool
Okay.
with that.
What you got?
All right. Let's go with Yolanda Pussass. The murderer of America's sweetheart Selena. She has a docu series 2-part shit thing on Oxygen True Crime where she's talking about the secrets between her and Selena and everybody must know. I saw that bullshit over on X, and my thing is, how do y'all feel about this? Just in general, this motherfucker being able to speak up and say some shit decades after murdering a fucking woman, America's everybody's sweetheart, then killed this woman, and now all of a sudden you coming up with some deep secrets that Selena, well shit, wasn't she like 19? You done killed her early. So I just want to know, what are y'all thoughts on this woman being able to have her little docu-series played out umpteen years later?
I'm going to jump out first. Though I'm not a fan of Selena, I knew about the murder and whatnot, but here's my question. If you've served the time, you've done your time in the eyes of the law, you're saying that we should not forgive that person? I mean, I know what they did was a heinous thing. It's terrible. Murder is not right. But at some point, we got to let people come back into society if they've paid their dues. Like, I'm a big fan of OJ. I think OJ is a really cool guy, like personality-wise. Would I hang out with OJ? No, because he's a murderer. But I understand he paid his dues to society, and he was actually not found guilty on that. So, I don't know. I feel a little different about still holding on to, I don't want to call it a grudge, but at what point do we forgive people? That's my time. Sid Davis, I'm going to go to you next.
I mean, it's not a secret that they've had some secrets to the family, but it still doesn't excuse what she did. It's almost like the Casey Anthony docuseries on Peacock. I'd like to hear her out. We already know it's going to be some bullshit. I'd like to hear her out. But regardless, it's still some bullshit. The girl was, you said, like 19 years old when she got shot or she died. I didn't even know that. That's my first time figuring that out. I thought she was in her mid-20s. But we'll see. We will see. That's my time.
Okay. Mr.On.point.
I think what we know about clout chasers is that they gonna chase clout, and I think the problem in this dynamic is that there are networks who are dying to have all of these stories to tell, and a whole bunch of murderers and serial killers are dying to get their name out there and have their story told. And as long as these networks are creating Jeffrey Dahmer stories and murderer stories over and over, these people are going to say, this is a way that I can make money. Now, I bet if they made it to where all the proceeds of these stories go into the family of Selena, I bet she probably won't tell that story. But her being bold and brazen enough to tell it and say, there's secrets, there's other stuff in it, means that with everything that's going on and how she probably feel like her life was up in it for the bullshit she did, if I can get something out of it, then I can. And they always going to, even if she's shooting bullshit out. And so I don't really think that a voice should be given to them to do it. But do I fault her for attempting? No, if I killed somebody, I'll be trying to tell that shit in 20 years too. But we shouldn't, as a society, create a pathway for them to be able to do it so easily.
All right. I'm starting to feel like my sound effects ain't working. Rhayne, this was your topic, but you also get to react. Would you like to react?
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Champion.
That's me. She was actually 23, so I threw out 19 in the head. But to Eddie's point, or Mr.On.point, to your point, I agree with everything you say. America, it's one thing to have. She's still in prison for life. 25 of March, she gets to parole or whatever, but she's still locked up. I'm not mad at the attempt, because again, we live in America. This is what the fuck we do. But my issue is when you have systemic things at play, where if this was an isolated, like this one criminal got to tell their story, whatever, but we're in a space where you got the Jeffrey Dahmers, you got the white niggas who killing and eating people and shit, and they're getting this shine, and it's warping our sense of like right and wrong. Because say what you want, I love true crime, but I also understand that indulging in true crime is very different from scripted TV. These are real people's lives. And I'm not mad at her for the attempt, but it's fuck her all day long. I don't give a fuck what Selena did. It's not your story to tell. So fuck her and fuck everybody who's allowing her to do this shit. So that's my time. And another thing. No.
Would anybody like to use any counters? Any extra?
I'll use it. And it's just to add, it's to add on what
Counter.
It's to add on what Rhayne was saying. He's like, you watch so much true
I'm
crime.
trying to do the sound effect thing.
It's cool, but you watch so much true crime, your mind gets warped. So whenever I watched everything that I could on OJ, I'm sitting here years later. I'm like, did he really do it? Like, I don't know. It's kind of that type of thing, because I started to question it, and I'm still questioning it. That's it.
Might have been Charlie. Mr.On.point, bring to you next. What is your first topic of the evening? You are muted, sir.
My first topic is, do we believe that there is any value in anything that comes from the manosphere? Be that red pill, be that the alpha male dialogue, be that whichever group you know of that's in the manosphere. Kevin Samuels, do we think there's anything in that group that is valuable?
Sid Davis, you want to go first?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think it's based on the messenger, because some of them come out very aggressive and say certain things that kind of sound, I don't know. It just sounds, what am I trying to say? I don't agree with everything. I agree with some of it, but then I don't agree. But it's the way that they come off, it's their tone of messaging, just everything, almost like they try to come off of a sense of control and how they want to operate, whatever group it is. I don't know. I don't watch enough of the content to have an opinion. So, but yeah, that's basically all I got to say. But except for the alpha, the whole alpha thing. I'm sorry, the whole alpha thing. They gotta get out of here with that.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna jump out next. I think the manosphere does add some value to the conversation. Now, Do I agree with everything they say? Heck no, I don't agree with myself all the time. But I can see where people latch onto these ideals because they want to have a community. But there's a few things that I do like that they say. They tell guys to take responsibility. They tell them to stay focused. They tell them to work out, your health and all this. But when it becomes a dating type advice situation from these guys, usually I don't take them serious when it comes to dating. Like, I think they're great about being focused on the task and getting something settled and done. But these guys seem like they've been abused or had the worst relationships ever. And for them to get on the internet and start spewing out that stuff and say, hey, this is what you need to do to get these women, and all these women suck because all they want is the things that you bring to the table. It's like you don't really know how to value yourself, and then you're taking that twisted morality and trying to paint all women the same when they're not the same. Like, all guys are not the same. So I think there is some value of the manosphere, but at the same time, I think they do a little bit more harm than it. Champion, Rhayne Coleman. What would you like to say?
Yeah, so I'm going to say yes with the caveat that it is strictly based off of being a litmus test. I think that is the best thing that they've brought to the conversation, because when it comes to politics, it can be a little shady because, Republicans this, Democrats that, independents or whatever. But I think that if you have consumed enough of that content, even in passing, you know where you fall. And I think that's a good way to weed out, even if you're all for them, to weed out people who you may not be compatible with. I also think that though it is extreme and it's weird to me, I do think the conversations that they're having, albeit I think they're terrible, are still a good way to get on top of the conversation with young boys early, because you don't really see a lot of the Andrew Tate-ness of it all came down to like 12, 13-year-old boys watching that content and being inundated with that and then regurgitating it. And so if you have a young boy in your life who boys are kind of overlooked when it comes to things, because like boys will be boys, they'll be rough guard and playing whatever. But if you have a 11-year-old nephew saying the same things, if those aren't your views, you can jump on that and redirect before it's too late. So I don't agree with that content, and a broke clock is right at least twice a day. So I'm not going to say there's nothing good coming from it, but for me personally, I think they're a good benchmark for the everyday person as to who you want to have in your life and who you don't, and also to kind of shape things.
And it's time.
You
What sound is that?
It's the 90. It's 90 seconds.
the
Okay,
Thanos
90
snap, nigga. What the fuck?
I'm tough.
Hey, bro, you got to get your point out. Eddie, what would you like to say next?
Damn, that sound made me forget what the hell I was gonna say. That shit was aggressive.
It wasn't great.
Damn.
All right, I'll get a new sound next
That
time.
sound was
Sorry.
when Debo uppercut Red. Oh, it was my question. Oh,
Yeah. You get to react.
I'm not somebody who, okay, there are individuals within the manosphere space in which something of value can come from, but as a group, as a genre, I think most of those men have been too hurt by their mamas or too hurt by their early relationships to really view women objectively. And I think that the response that they're giving, even if it's, hey, men do better, it's in spite of women. It's because women ain't choosing us. It's because we don't have access to women the way we want to. It's because they're not just bowing down and giving us what we want to. They are trying to be different. They are trying to be like us. All of those messages, if they are rooted in a man that has been hurt by women and he is using that hurt to give his messages, then it's all a problem to me. It's not like there can't be some value, but a question I be asking people is, okay, let's say like there's a Kevin Samuels, to me, like if you look at a big tub of shit, there's an amount, like will you reach down in there for 5 cents? No, nobody will. What about for $5? No, so you got to be doing real bad to reach in there for $5. What about 20? What? There is a point at which you will reach into that tub and grab some. Maybe it's a gold bar for you. Maybe it's a blank check for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, to me, it's not justified by saying that tub of shit might got some shit, but it's some shit in there you can pull out sometimes too. So that's how I view the man.
The war drums have spoken. Counter, okay.
Counter.
And even then, too, there's a lot of these dudes that have been swatted and exposed. Most of them have settled. As much as they'd like to bash women all day, like a lot of them have settled. So, and they always talk about not settling, which is odd to me. I don't know. But yeah, that's all I had to say to that.
Sid Davis, what's your first topic?
Stephen A. Smith says, or asks, why Killer Mike was arrested and not Will Smith. 2 tweets. He said, yeah, I'm looking forward to First Take in the morning, but that ain't on my mind right now. Riddle me this. How in the hell does Killer Mike get taken from the Grammys in handcuffs for an alleged crime, but Will Smith gets to accept his speech in party with no arrest? To be clear, I'm not advocating that Will should have gotten arrested, but that happened in LA too. So if Will could be left alone, how come they couldn't wait until after the Grammys to deal with Killer Mike? Why ruin his evening over an alleged misdemeanor, but leave Will Smith alone?
A good point. Okay. Mr.On.point, I want to hear from you first. How do you feel? React.
First off, I don't like Stephen A. Smith's voice because he sound like the voice when you clearing your voice when he talking. Like when you be like, his voice sound like that. I don't like that shit, first off. But to get to the point, I think the reality is what the lack of reaction on what happened to Chris Rock with Will Smith is the reason that they probably being more proactive now than they were before. Like to act like they should be on 2 different levels as if the people, the last crew got fired, probably. Like the people who let Chris Rock get slapped, they ain't got a job no more. So the new motherfuckers is like, we gotta make sure we keeping our job. So anything that might be a threat, anything that might be dangerous, anything that might be just not appropriate for tonight, we need to be proactive about that. I don't know what happened, if anything happened at the show that triggered them doing it, you know, or if it was just like they got word in their microphones that he got a warrant for his arrest or something. I don't know what happened, but I don't think you can compare both of them because one is probably the result of the other one. Because presumably ain't nobody else finna get up and walk up to somebody and slap them because of what happened the first time. So it's probably something to that. I think it's an unfair comparison to say this should have happened to Will Smith or either this shouldn't have happened to Killer Mike. They just not the same kind of situation.
Okay. I respect that. I guess it's on me. I think comparing those 2 events is fair. That's fair. But can I complain about Walmart policies inside of Target? Like, these are 2 different organizations, so they're not going to have the same reactions and the same rules for things to happen. Like, should Will Smith have been able to sit down and enjoy the rest of the show after he assaulted somebody? No, that's wrong. It's a crime. But did he get arrested? Did Chris Rock press charges? No. Killer Mike got arrested, and I think he bailed out the same night, and now it's kind of questionable what he did to get arrested. They said that he assaulted some lady in the back, and it became like a security guard or something. There's a conspiracy forming on the internet right now saying that they did it so he couldn't give out his speech on the end of it. I don't know. The reasoning for him being arrested at the Grammys is kind of weird. It's Killer Mike. I'm proud that he got his album. I mean, that is one of the best albums I've heard in a long time. So I respect it. But as far as Stephen A. Smith, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good way to get some clicks and drama. But what we going to do now? Nothing. That's my turn. Rhayne, champion.
I already got much to add. I think y'all have pretty much said what needs to be said. But also with Steven, ain't your job to interview niggas, to talk to niggas? Like, have him on your show. Like, if you really feel that deeply about it, have Mike on your show and, like, discuss that with him. He may have some insight that we don't. But I think I agree with y'all. Like, again, this is not, this is a whole nother organization. And also, before 9/11, your family could walk with you to the gate. That's not a thing anymore. So, you know, so again, I agree with y'all. I ain't really got much else to add. Have him on your show, nigga. That's my time.
I like that. I like that. No, I stopped it before he got there. Oh man, anybody would like to use any counters? We still got
Yes.
counters on the board.
I would.
All right.
Counter.
I don't quite understand the situation with Killer Mike because Killer Mike in the interviews is different than Killer Mike behind the mic. Like Killer Mike behind the mic is pro police. He is pro some Republican policy, and so for people to be saying that no, they just trying to silence him because he gonna say some big shit that he be saying. If he say the shit on the interview that he be saying on them interviews, they want him to talk. That's what kind of messed me up with the conspiracy theory piece as far as that goes.
I'll fix it next week. I'm sorry. I'm gonna use a counter. Oh,
Counter.
my side.
Counter.
And then, I stand with Killer Mike, man. He's one of my favorite artists out there. He will say the same thing on the interviews. He say the same thing in his raps. And though it might be the same type of rhetoric that Republicans do say, it's not that he's backing those policies. It's just like a cultural thing that Killer Mike grew up in the house where his father was a cop, so he does support police officers. But you got to listen to what Killer is actually saying. Don't get caught up into the ideology of everything.
Run one more up for me.
you
Counter.
All right, you down to your last?
I just want to
Alright.
clarify because
Counter.
it's not an assessment of what Killer Mike says. It's an assessment of people not realizing that he ain't the one that they should be worrying about getting up there and saying something that's too antithetical that would make them do this to him. You know what I'm saying? Like his message is more middle ground than it is anything else from my vantage point as it pertains to that. There's people that should be afraid of. They should do that shit to. Most deaf. Get his ass out of there, but not Killer Mike.
All right. And that is our first round of questions. I am going to give you guys a few minutes because I respect how y'all didn't say nothing, but I feel like y'all should. Y'all ain't roast me on this shirt yet. Like these colors, like y'all ain't gonna call me no wannabe swagged out Star Trek member.
I
or
thought
nothing
that
like
was
that.
support of Palestine. Oh.
Yo, I like that. Support of Palestine. From the river to the sea. Okay. Wait, I can't say that? Isn't that the champ?
Yeah, you can't say that.
I don't think that's
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
that's
anti-Semitic saying from the
It's
river to
not
the sea.
really theoretically, but they market it like it is. So maybe you can say it, maybe you can't. Who knows?
I
Saying
got
nothing
you.
is probably better.
Well, I was just gonna say it. Y'all can roast my shirt because I was.
I like it,
expecting
nigga. It looks
All right,
like
cool.
Pan African flag. Not Pan. What is the American Black American flag or something like that? I don't know, nigga.
Sid Davis,
Too
you the
big.
biggest
I
troll
can't
out
wear
here.
stripes.
What?
Why do you think I'm wearing
I
black?
mean, I'm at that threshold.
They big stripes. I mean, you got stripes. They just big as hell.
I just wondering if you was gonna roast my shirt. I was expecting everybody.
No, you did. You got that shit on, nigga.
Yeah, I got it
You
from
did all
Shein,
that shit to
$20.
yourself in the mirror.
I did. I was like, man, I'm gonna go with it. Look at these loud ass colors.
You was ready. So you already said everything that could be said.
All right, so we're gonna start up with our second round of questions or topics. Let's see who we want to start with. Well, I'll start with me. So, Marvel Studios. Marvel's cinematic universe had an epic showing of all these 20 years of movies, and they ended it off with Endgame. They kept going with subpar movies that most people are not really happy with. But they said, you know what? We're going to fix it in the background. Now there's a rumor saying that Marvel's going to dip back into the candy jar or the cookie jar or whatever jar you want to say and put Thanos back in the live action movies because there's still more stories to tell. I want to ask the panel today, how do you guys feel about Marvel going back to Thanos as the big bad? Rumored. We'll go to Mr.On.point. How do you feel about Thanos possibly coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
So comics are no stranger to bringing people back that's been gone. Like they just keep the same stories going. I don't know why Marvel would be held, the studios would be held to the same standard of like, once you created this story, people can't come back, you know, but they cash cow is out. Like, it ain't that many. I mean, it's a lot of interesting characters, but ones that are interesting enough, powerful enough, have had longevity in the comics and can be integrated into what already exists. You don't have that many people. Like, from my vantage point, so to lose Kang and to not have to do no more lead work for a character, like, Thanos is the person that they are like, that's easy work. That's, people already know him. He already built into the universe. We just got to figure out a way to bring him back. And if we gonna replace Kane quick, we just don't have time to do whole new stories, especially while we getting shitted on about the new stuff that's here. So this just makes sense for them to do if they gonna do something. And the fan base is base enough. People gonna watch it. Who not gonna watch it because they don't feel. And so Marvel knows that, and they just gonna go back to some old faithful and do what they do.
Like that. Sid Davis, how do you feel about Thanos possibly coming back?
I mean, I'm kind of done with it overall. And I'm thinking of like Infinity War, then Captain Marvel, then his Endgame. Don't understand still why we have Captain Marvel. And I always said, I'm like, damn, I said, Thanos is so interesting. We need like a solo movie, like how he started, where he is now. And I get it, comic books do it too, but people like to try to differentiate from comic books to the music. Like, this is the MCU, and that was in the comic books. Forget about the comic books. But if they want to bring them back, just do it right. I'm still mad over Kang the Conqueror leaving. I don't know, or being replaced, I guess. But if anything, they should have did this a long time ago. It's the same sentiments I share with Black Widow. Now they trying to bring Iron Man and Captain America back. It's just do it right. Just do it right. That's my time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go next. I'm saving the champion for last. So I don't like this. I feel like Marvel has so many other villains they can pick and choose from. Like Doctor Doom is right there. Galactus is right there. I mean, Magneto. Why not just bring the mutants back into it? It's just, why are you going back to something you've already done? And this is the same problem that I've had since after Endgame. The multiverse is lazy writing. Anytime you introduce time travel and multiverse, everything you've done in the history is just null and void. It doesn't matter. It has no consequences. You can just bring back anybody. You can just pluck them out of a time, pluck them out of a universe, throw them back into the story and keep going. It's like, I don't want this. I want consequences. I want weight to these actions. And we lost all that once they started doing this multiverse stuff. And I just hate that. That's my time. Champion, tell us how you feel.
Well, I agree somewhat with all y'all and kind of disagree. So I do not like the idea of Thanos coming back for everything that you said, Shogun, but I do think that if he is a beloved character, it wouldn't hurt to do a prequel. Like, they do it with everything else. Do all that if that's what you want. But I do think that with the MCU, it should, though we're telling those same stories, we're also updating them and making them contemporary. So instead of being like comics where you die in 2023 and you resurrect in 2027, we just not have that. If you did, you did. I don't even mind the multiverse because I think that everything with a good writer and a good team can be done well. But I do think they've hit their peak. You excelled with Iron Man in 2008. You have enough characters that you should be able to do the same thing. If for nothing else, we want to lean into diversity. Hela is right there. Conventionally attractive white woman who can whoop a god's ass. You mean to tell me you can't use her for nothing? So I'm not with it. I don't like the idea of Thanos coming back. You've built so much of your community or your story about him being gone. And you have too many other characters, too many other diverse, differently abled or disabled people. You have too many other characters that you can play with. And this is lazy. Fuck Thanos. My guy pretty like a girl and he got Thanos stories to tell. I don't see any sides like Chanel. Fuck that nigga. Kill him. Keep him dead. Kill him. That's my time.
Thanos snapped on that one. Anybody would like to use any counters?
Counter.
All right.
I'll just use
No
it.
I
counter.
would like to use a counter.
But
What's
is
that?
that sound from Mass Effect?
That
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't the Reaper sound.
It is.
I can't
It
tell you
sound- I
what's
don't-
in my recipes.
So crazy.
I stole
trying
it
to-
off of something random on the internet. It might be Mass Effect.
It
I'm
is.
not
It's
sure.
Sound like
Mass Effect.
when the Reaper show up.
It's Mass Effect. I want to use a counter, but Sid, I think you said you wanted to use one as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a.
I'm
what
gonna
I
go
was-
first, and I'll let you go.
Oh, go. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I didn't start it. Go ahead.
Counter.
okay. Yeah, man. It's just you want to bring him back. Now you're just now trying to introduce Silver Surfer, which should have been a while ago. You should have did that, but that's what I'm afraid of. I really don't want them to do the mutants. I really don't. I'm not looking forward to see what they're going to do with Magneto or Doom. I'm over it at this point. But like I said, y'all better do it right. Get away from the multiverse. I don't want to see nothing in the multiverse. I don't know why they doing that. None of the movies to me are good. So
All right, my counter.
Counter.
The writing has been terrible. The writing all over Hollywood has been terrible. I have no hope for this new phase of Marvel, and this is why I don't want them to go back to old things, because it seems like they're just like, hey, this worked. This got people into the seats. We can do that again and bring back those millions and billions of dollars that we made it. No, we have 100 years of histories that you can go to and put it on the screen. There's a reason that there's a fandom. You're not listening to your fandom. This is gonna be terrible. Woo! It came right up under the top, boy. Anybody else? Anybody else? No, okay. Moving right along, we're gonna go to the next topic of the evening. Let's hear about Dee Barnes. Sid Davis, tell us what you got. What you say?
So, during the Grammys, Jay-Z won the Dr. Dre Impact Award. Decided to give up and give a speech. He said what he had to say, but Dee Barnes commented and said, and mentioned him, the Recording Academy does not care about #violence against women. Jay-Z received an award named after an abuser and defended his wife while his daughter stood by his side. #Grammys 2024. And that's pretty much all she said. And then she said, she said she was unmoved by the speech as well. So, yeah. Dee Barnes, everybody. She's still going at it.
I'm gonna go first. Dee Barnes. Man, I want to say this, and it's not right, but this is inappropriate discourse. What do you tell a woman with two black eyes? Nothing. I've already told.
Oh my God.
And I don't mean that. I'm just saying this is the situation. Dr. Dre told her to stay out of this. Oh boy, I dug a hole. Anyway, Jay-Z, he was clout chasing, and that was a terrible thing that he did on that stage. And it seems like everything that people have been trying to tell Jay-Z since he's been Jay-Z, he's now starting to realize and say these types of things. Like, he's talking about ownership and all these things. Like, well, hey, that's what Dame Dash was trying to tell you, but you didn't listen to him. And now he's up there getting mad on stage. Oh, that looks a little like Kanye West, but it was crazy when Kanye did it, but now Jay-Z's doing it, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's standing up for the black people. I don't like it. Hove is I'm not feeling this new age Hove. So, go away. Dee Barnes, you already, you know. Mr.On.point, please bring some dignity to this show.
For me, it gets into the conversation that we're having as we go back to see all of our favorite people, their past coming back to haunt them because a new wave of people are discovering old things that they did and bringing it into the mainstream. And so, yes, Dr. Dre has a history of abusing women. Does that mean that he should never have his name applied to something at all in society now? Does it mean that people, even though they're disconnected from his abuse, shouldn't accept things with his name on it? Like, I don't know the answer to the question, but it is somewhere that we need to make it in society to figure out what to do with people who have that history, because it will. I think if you go back in everybody's history or most people's history, you can find something that taints it to somebody in some way. And so can we not honor people for their accomplishments because of their mishaps? Or does it matter the extent to which the mishaps were before we can say, well, we can't do that person, right? Or were they mistakes, or were they patterns of abuse? Can you forgive mistakes versus the patterns? I just think it's a lot of questions that come along with it. And that's what I think of when I think of Dee Barnes, who suffered some violence at his hands, is having that conversation. But I don't know the answers necessarily.
Okay, I like that. Sid, that was your topic, but I want to hear you. He react to it.
No, I mean, you were saying you don't like the new age Hove. You don't like what he did on that stage, roasting the Grammys. You don't like that? I want to know why. I want to know why.
I can't reply without using one of my counters.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
okay,
use
okay,
a
yeah,
counter.
okay. Damn. Okay. Shit. But yeah, I mean, I like what he did, but I understand what people say and where they're coming from when they talk about, oh, well, Kanye did it. Dame Dash he's been talking about it for, the better half of post Rockefeller. So I get it, but I don't know. But yeah, that's one time.
Counter.
I'm gonna skip over Rhayne since he's the champion, and I will use a counter because it's a unique situation. I'm gonna do 30 seconds. Jay-Z said the right things, but it's the wrong person saying it, and that's my issue. He's had a history of doing the things that he's up there grandstanding about. And it's like, bruh, where was this energy back then? And maybe he learned over time, but it feels a type of way coming from Jay-Z today. All right, champion, what do you have to say, Rhayne?
I'm with D. I'm with D because if this is someone, it's one thing to like be in an abusive relationship or even like a bullied in school, and it's another thing to see that same bully be recognized for all these phenomenal things. And you wouldn't say the same thing about an R. Kelly award. R. Kelly is a phenomenal artist, like as far as music is concerned, but there's no R. Kelly Lifetime Achievement Award. So I do think we're at a point where things in the 90s, some of those things are taboo and different now. And so if you're not rolling with the punches as far as like altering things to fit the current day and age, then I don't know what else to tell you. Like there's been horrible people who have been celebrated before, who've done horrible things. And yes, there is an extent, because maybe you might think that domestic violence is different from what, R. Kelly had going on, or even like murdering somebody. But the fact of the matter is capitalism don't care. Jay-Z got up there and made that big statement. Didn't move me in the slightest. Your wife and you are two sides of the same coin. Yes, y'all make wonderful music, but you're also so far removed that why should I give a damn about any of this? So I don't, I think D is the victim in this because again, you have to see this. It's no escaping. This ain't some niche community of furries or niggas who collect pens or something. This is the recording industry. So it can be altered. If you gave a damn about black women, I think that that's something that should be changed. I don't, because you could easily call that the Beyonce award then. She ain't never beat no damn body, so. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure I got everybody. Any counters? Whew, I'm in the hot seat tonight. All right, we're gonna move right along. We got down to Rhayne, your second topic, sir.
Alrighty, so speaking of Beyonce, is she the last great bastion of Hollywood? Back in the day before cell phones and internet and whatnot, what you saw is what was in Page Six or what was in a tabloid or what was in some old Hollywood newspaper. We didn't have access to celebrities like we do now. To even stalk a celebrity, you had to put in work. And so nowadays we have these recording art, and this really came as a kind of response to the like Nicki Megan thing. I don't want to get into that, but the access of being available to your fans in such a way during this climate of like parasocial relationships, is Beyonce the last celebrity, specifically maybe recording artist, but the last celebrity who gives you that old Hollywood, I'm giving you enough to know what's going on. I'm able to market and manage my image and give you a few crumbs here and there. Because we have folks like Cardi, when she came out, was adjusting to being a celebrity, arguing with people online. Same thing with Nicki. Regardless of how you feel about her, she's attained a certain status and celebrity where it's like, girl, you ain't got to do this. Is Beyonce, as far as recording artists are concerned, I think that might make it a little easier, the last great bastion of those late 90s, early 2000s stars that gave you celebrity in a more controlled way that they can avoid controversy or even meet it head on in a way that does not they're not dragged down by their stands and fans and the community at large. Yeah, I hope that was explained well enough.
It's a lot. It's okay.
Oh,
But I
shit.
know Mr.On.point has an answer. So Mr.On.point, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that because the question makes it sound like what Beyonce is doing is a dying experience, and I think more so it's a representation of the privacy that she's trying to, keep for her and her family. Because I mean, she was trying until she came out there in the interview and they were saying that her belly was poked in like it was fake. She ain't been nowhere since. And not to mention that she was finna be raising some kids at that time too. So I think that this is intentional privacy to raise your children intentionally. And I mean, I respect that, and there undoubtedly are going to continue to be celebrities that just don't do well in the limelight, that don't care about social media enough to fight back with people who do want to manage their image much better than images are being seen. And so I think that there will always be pockets of people who act in the way that Beyonce is acting. But undoubtedly, I think if social media was around in the 90s, it'll be a whole bunch of artists who will be on what all the artists are on now, and a few isolated ones who are maintaining that privacy because they private people, not necessarily because, it was the only, like, this is just how it is. But I don't think that is dying. I think that it's always going to be alive. And I think that Beyonce just practicing privacy instead of keeping alive a tradition of, low access to fans.
I'm gonna go next. I think what we know as a celebrity is changing, and so it's evolving, and so are the people. Are there still going to be fanatics? Yes, fans. That's what they are. They're going to be super fanatic. Keeping your privacy on in a time where everything's online and everything's social, it does look taboo. But I think the new currency is now making a celebrity seem more relatable. So you're going to see people pushing themselves to be out there so they can be seen. And, hey, this is me drinking a Starbucks coffee, and it might be a brand deal, but they're still getting paid, and then it makes them seem normal. So I think it's not that Beyonce is doing something different or she's the last one. It's just what we now know as a celebrity is evolving with the times of today. Sid Davis, how do you feel about this stuff?
Based on how she conducts herself with, her privacy, I feel like all of that's going to come back around with more people. She's not the last person to operate the way she's operating. We'll get more well beyond, where she is now. The thing is, being too accessible on social media, we'll still have that. We'll probably have fanatics that'll sit here and force you to try to, you got to tell us more. You got to give us more. I mean, they're doing that now. I mean, music, movies, just everything. Even YouTubers. It's not going to go away. It'll remain the same, but I don't think she's the last person to uphold her privacy.
Rhayne, I feel like I skipped over you.
You
like
did.
the reaction is?
You sure did.
I mean, I saved you for the last because you're the champion of the week.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Who's the-
Good spin, just like Beyonce would. No, I think you all are right, but I do think that with the idea of a celebrity changing, you are going to get those folks who are able to maintain, and a lot of it may even be an accident. Like they just don't access certain things, and then like an Andre 3000 type person who's just like, oh, I make such and such, and there you go. I think it'll probably be maybe a little easier for men going forward because of the diva worship that comes with women pop artists in the spotlight. To your point, Mr.On.point, I do think that the raising of kids had a lot to do with it, and that's something I didn't even consider when I thought up this question. But I think that Beyonce is kind of the last of that dying breed, only because as we progress and celebrity changes, that particular thing that she's doing of keeping your privacy a certain way, that's even going to change. Where it might be just, hey, here's my husband and kids, and I sing songs and such, and that's it. So I think that she is, as far as I'm concerned, now that I could think of, the last of that particular iteration of a celebrity being private, but it'll probably continue, and that's my time.
We are now going to the last topic of the evening. We're going to go to our guest, Mr.On.point. What's your second?
Yo, there's a lot of dialogue about single mothers raising boys, and the question that comes up is, can a woman teach a boy to be a man? It's not, that question isn't really brought up. The assertion that's brought up is a woman can't teach a boy to be a man. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just wanting to know how the panel feel. Do we believe that a woman can aid in a boy becoming a man in a way that we feel is substantial?
Right. I'm gonna jump out. Unfortunately, women are teaching men how to be men because the men are not stepping up and doing their job. So what are we complaining about? Are we complaining about that men are soft because women are raising them? No, that's farthest thing from the truth. That it can't be the case. Are we complaining about that women have more say so than men do in the situation? Well, nigga, where you at? You should probably be there raising your child. I feel like this question is stupid to even ask because niggas ain't doing their fucking job. Be a man, raise your seed, or if you can't do that, stop impregnating people. It's not that hard to not come inside something. I know it feels good, but nigga, have personal responsibilities and take care of your fucking business. That's how I feel about it. But hey, women are raising men better than men who, y'all see it. The statistics are there. You know what's happening in the world. I think this problem lands on the shoulders of men, and men are not stepping up, trying to be what we quote unquote call men. That's my time. Sid Davis, how do you feel?
Shit, that's too broad of a goddamn question, boy. Shoot. Yeah, they can. I disagree everything what Shogun just said. Oh my goodness. just skip me. Just skip me.
Okay, all right.
Just
Damn. All right.
There's a whole lot to be said.
You gotta say the champion for last, so Mr.
Oh God. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You want to come back? I'll let you marinate on it. I'm gonna let Mr.On.point go ahead and say his piece because he gets to react to his topic, and then we'll come back to you. Then we'll go to the champion. So, Mr.On.point, how do you feel?
Well, I think you answered a different question. You know, the question you answered was, what is creating the single parent homes and why this condition exists. And that's a valid topic. I would further answer the question, it would be like, do we believe that women can do something substantial with the boys since they are there? And I believe that's the truth. Now, this is a sore spot for me because I'm raised by a single mother. So when niggas say that, I'd be like, what you think I am? You know, put that to the test. If you think it's physical, we can do something. You know what I'm saying? Or do you think that there's some internal qualities that I'm missing? Can you see what I'm missing from across the street? And so what I say is I do believe that women can give boys the tools to become a productive man. I do also believe that that is a much more efficient delivery system when it comes from a man. And I think that women have to put in a lot more of the work in order to get the same results that a man have to do less to get. And so both men and women can get the same results out of a boy. It's just more work have to go into it for a woman than a man. And if you flip down on the other side, more work would have to go into it for a man raising a daughter than a woman raising a daughter. Because a lot of it is just being able to model that behavior. And boys don't trust that they're modeling the proper behavior when it comes from a woman the way they would from a man. Now, a lot of men model that behavior. That's another conversation too.
All right. Sid, still want to skip?
Everything Mr.On.point just said is basically what I was saying. It was just way too much. I didn't want to go over. I didn't want to get cut off. So
I got you.
Thank you.
All right. Rhayne Coleman, how do you feel?
This topic. My question, I'm still going to answer, but my question would be, what constitutes not being a man? And I ask that because if there is a particular quality that you can give that says this isn't a man, and you can track that back to women raising boys, then maybe we can open up that conversation. But I doubt it, because it really comes up to the nigga who's asking the question. You might think that a motherfucker being gay, oh, raised by a mama make him gay, or having qualities that you deem to be effeminate. Oh, you get that from your mama. Well, all little boys, for the most part, are just like little girls. They're just little soft pieces of learning. So I agree with you. I do think that a woman can raise a man, because if essentially you're raising a healthy person to be a great adult. The things you do in childhood is to prepare them for being an adult. There's nothing that a woman outside of like anatomy, maybe, and saying like this is here, this, that, maybe those uncomfortable conversations. But if you've done your work as a parent to begin with, that's not a thing. I don't know. I do think that a woman can raise a boy to be a man because he's going to be a man anyways, not accounting for like transgender and other gender identities, but he's going to grow up and be a man no matter what. It's what kind of man is he going to be? And so, no, I think that a woman definitely can, without a question, raise a boy to be a man. I do. That's my time.
Counter.
Music counter. To further expand on what I was saying, I did answer the question, or at least I thought I did. What I'm gonna say is, yes, women can raise boys to be a man. They're doing it in droves. But I have a problem with that because the issue isn't that women are raising boys to be men. It's the question, or the problem I have is men asking, well, can a woman raise a boy to be a man? Yes. But why are they having to do that is further expanding on what I'm talking. That was my last counter. Anybody else want to use a counter?
Yeah, I think I do.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that women have been doing the job even in two-parent households of keeping culture, because in black communities, black community is like a matriarchal structure. The women usually take on a lot of that burden even in two-parent households. And I think this question, albeit thanks for bringing it up, Mr.On.point, I'm still like, this is very manosphere, not you, it's very manosphere, because I've heard these conversations before, and it's always so shocking to me because I don't understand why. No,
Go ahead. You're the champion. Finish that thought.
No, it's just that I don't understand how we're having this conversation from these niggas in 2024, because I think a lot of that conversation comes down to stifling what a man is. If you don't perform manliness and masculinity in the way that the person posing the question thinks that you should, then the answer is always going to be no, they can't, and you're less than. Straight niggas is painting their nails now. Straight niggas is being as flamboyant as they are, as they could have been as children, not in some rebellious idea, but they're just being and existing. Everybody's not this hard up 90s Tim wearing saggy pants, snatching up the hoes, running a lick. Like, that's not the idea. And I think a lot of that gets pushed onto boys, where you can't even enjoy preteen-hood without how many hoes you got, young blood, what you do, what's up, like it's. And so yeah, my answer still stands, but I think young boys really get the short end of the stick of all races when it comes to this particular conversation. Okay, I'm done.
I appreciate everybody on the panel because you all have your own thoughts and ideals. It varies. I like that y'all push back, especially me. I do try to jump out the window to bring the inappropriateness of the show, but these are some very good points that you guys make. And I kind of want to go back around to everybody. If you have something else that you would like to say, this is the conclusion part. But on this topic that Mr.On.point brought, which is a great topic, Mr.On.point, you have anything else you would like to say about this?
Yeah, for the most part, for this topic, for me, it's a staunch criticism on the men that ask this question, because I believe what they need is validation for a position that they struggle to fill. And I think that it's something that they use to try to maintain the idea of what they can offer the family, whether they can be present to offer it or not. Because men, there's a different conversation with men who had their fathers in their life. It's a different air of confidence when it comes to talking about what other men must be missing if they didn't have a father in their life, you know? And I think that the essence of that is just a criticism of it, because me working in the community with women have deeply internalized that sentiment, and they are so much faster to give up on what they can be doing because they believe that when they're failing, that it must be a man that has to fill in the gaps because they've internalized these ideals. I don't like that women and boys internalize it, because boys have told me, you know, I need a father here. And that's because mama said, I can't raise you to be a man, son. And there's not a man there to do it. And I just don't like hearing that coming from them. But I do empathize with a lot of men who just ain't at the place to be there because we don't have a solid foundation enough as society giving us the tools that we need to be everything we can be in those instances.
I will say we're just gonna do a free form at the end. This is a really good conversation. Sid, you have something you want to add to this?
Man, that shit struck a nerve for real. I don't even know what the fuck to say.
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to delay. And
I told you that last night. I'm
over
bringing
and
some
over.
big shit tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's so much.
I think
Here from go ahead.
I can say from my life experiences, I had both parents in my life. And I am who I am because of my father. My father had a huge hand in molding my personality, molding the ideals of what I thought would be a man. But my character comes strictly from my mother. My mother was loving, giving. Everything that I tried to portray mostly came from her. She's very nurturing. My father was hard and rough. But together, I think they kind of blended and made me. And I can see that. I know people who have boys, and they're like women who are raising boys themselves. And when I come around, they do. I don't want to say imprint, but they look for. They are very impressionable about how I carry myself and how I talk to the woman, and they do watch. And so I think the real issue isn't can women teach boys how to be men. I think the issue is, are they going to get the ideal of what a real man is, only seeing the vantage point of a woman raising a child? And I that's where it really becomes an issue, where they're not going to know how to treat women the right way unless a man's in their life. But then it's like, how do you really treat a woman if that man is an asshole? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really, just being a man isn't enough. You got to actually put forth good qualities towards raising a child. And that's the hardest part about anything. There's no instructions on how to raise a child. So who knows if we're doing it the right or wrong way. But kids do want to see, or I would say, from my vantage point, I think kids do need to see a balanced relationship. They need to see it coming from both the man and the woman, if possible. But it doesn't mean a man has to be there at all times raising that child. Rhayne,
Let me get all my counters out, nigga. I'm with you to a certain extent. I feel like nothing under the sun is new. Gay niggas, disabled niggas, niggas with right-wing ideologies, nothing is new. So this idea that like kids maybe won't see how, again, how, like you said, how to treat a woman, when you have so many examples laid out in front of you, and it may not be the healthiest place to turn, but you have what you see in movies and TV. I'm just having that as a starting point. But we also don't account for community, because yes, you may have just a woman in the household, but who's to say she ain't got 3 brothers? Who's to say there isn't your best friend's parents who are a 2-parent household? And I think that it's very important to consider this. Why I say nothing under the sun is new. There's lesbian households, there's polyamorous households, there's so many different types of ways to have family and to be family, that if you're going to kind of look, and I see where you're going, because I think it makes sense, like how are you going to treat a woman if X, Y, and Z, but there's so many other factors that play, from being born, turning 5, and then being 30, getting married, where we have the red pill men who we just spoke of earlier, and then you have those folks who maybe ain't interested in women, or maybe they're asexual or whatever. But I think when you bring up that type of conversation, I would ask that you go a little further and ask not just how would that young boy know how to treat a woman, but what is it to treat a woman well? Because if it's just buying flowers and holding open doors, not to say just like that's insignificant, that's something that can be taught and something that can be learned. You open the door for your elders. I open the door for everybody. Nigga, kid, woman, man, that's what I do. So it's like, I get what you're saying, and I think that is very important, but I want you to go further than just like the romantic aspect, because I think that's another part of this that really becomes an issue. And I don't think people do it intentionally. It's more of a second nature thing. But on kids, we project our own ideals, and it's like, oh, this is a little boy, of course this little girl down the street is his girlfriend. Look at you, hold the door for your girlfriend, instead of just Jackie is your friend. And so I think that when you get to that conversation of like, what will your future romantic relationships look like, let's take a left turn and say, what will your future relationships with people look like? Because if the only time you treating this woman right is because you saw your dad do it, and you know that's reserved for your romantic encounters, well, what about your female friendships? What do those look like? Are you able to sustain those past, I'm doing this so I can fuck her? So I think it's a little bit, it's a conversation that may need to go a little bit further, because I think that if it's purely just being nice to a woman and showing her you're interested, that may be all fine and good for being seen at home, but a lot of that's probably gonna be your friends and how they, oh, you got with Jennifer, how you get with her? Oh man, I smacked on the ass. Or you go with Tony, oh yeah, I brought her flowers, and this, because everybody's different and we're all learning. And as impressionable as kids are, once they get to that preteen, teen age, your friends got more influence over you than the folks in your house. But I could go on this all day, so I'm gonna pull it back.
Just to add a little piece to what Rhayne is saying, it taps into the idea of benevolent misogyny, which on the surface is a misogyny where on the surface you do things for women, you pick them up, you don't let them touch a door, but underneath the reasoning is because they are less capable. It's because they are less knowledgeable. It's because they are more fragile. It's because they are things that forces you to minimize the presence of women in that way. Now you can do all of those things for women, but a lot of people do them because they don't believe that a woman can inherently do it themselves, and they believe that a woman doesn't desire to do it themselves. And so what's being said by Rhayne, I think, is there is more that goes into treating a woman well than just the aesthetic of treating them well. You have to actually believe that she is valuable in her existence versus in her function to you, which a lot of men see it like that. A lot of men see it like that. And not saying that's on purpose. Society kind of sets us up for failure to see that shit in that way. But we see it. That's how it end up being.
That's kind of dope. Sid, you got anything you want to say?
That's the reason why it's too broad of a damn question, bro. This could go on forever. Yeah. But I will say to make
I'm glad you guys took a minute to.
I will say this, just get a little controversial about it. Pick better men to have children with. Do that. Just do that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, My name is Shogun. Again, you can find me every week or every time we release an episode right here at Inappropriate Discourse. But I want to say thank you to my panel member. I'm going to go back and say them all again. Rhayne Coleman, this week's champion. Tell them, where can they find you? Where you be?
You can find me at the Hall of Fame for Inappropriate Discourse. I'm #1 in this thing. No, Twitter and TikTok, Carefree Blurred. Hey. The People's Champ is here. And YouTube and Instagram at Carefree Black Nerd. I talk about nerd pop culture stuff. We're gearing up for vampire season. If you're a fan of Interview the Vampire, hit me up. I'm finna talk my shit for months. But I am happy to be here. Happy to be with these knucklehead motherfuckers right here.
Sid Davis, tell the people where you at, where you bees.
I am on Instagram and Twitter at @SidDavis. The Social Introvert Podcast is every Wednesday and Thursday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you can get podcasts. And yeah, tap in with me.
Hey, Mr.On.point, thank you for being the first guest of Inappropriate Discourse. And you've done a really
Appreciate
good job.
y'all.
You've even made us change the rules. That's usually my job, of changing the rules and doing shit different at the end. We had to break down and talk about that conversation. That was deep. That's good. I like it. And tell the people, where you at? Where you be?
Hey, I appreciate y'all. You can listen to me and one of my co-hosts, Red, on Conversation Con Artist Podcast. We are on a hiatus, but there are 9 years worth of episodes if you want something to listen to, okay? You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. MISTER_on point. And you can also find me talking about patriarchy, parenting, and relationships at TikTok at Eddie Be Talking.
Do. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of Inappropriate Discourse. I am Shogun, and we are out.